Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here at Virtuoso Travel Week, as I always am every August. And almost every August, I interview this gentleman here when I'm not interviewing somewhere else in the world, Chris Austin, who's the president North America for Explora Journeys. And as you know, I was one of the first journalists on Explora Journeys, and I will be one of the first journalists on Explora 3 soon. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about this brand new ship, their third ship. And it is going to be a different kind of ship. It'll look the same, but we'll talk to Chris about what the big differences are and what to expect. You'll find out about that on Insider Travel Report. Chris, as always, great to see you here. It's wonderful.
Great to see you, James, as well, from Virtuoso Travel Week here in Las Vegas. I will say it's a little bit hot here.
We haven't been outside very much, except that little passageway between Vidara and Aria. But sometimes it's nice to have fresh air. But we'll see. But yeah, it's one of the hottest Vegas is out here ever. But you don't have to worry about that because on your ships, I don't think it's that hot. Right?
Well, they're hot to many of our guests who are, of course, falling in love, and we're absolutely delighted that recently we took delivery of our third ship.
Yeah,
James.
You just got it, and you just christened it,
Yes.
and I'm looking forward to getting on it in November. But tell us a little bit about the differences, because obviously, give me a clue, because I want to be looking for those slight differences. It is a larger ship, right?
She is a larger ship, actually, James. And for all our travel advisor partners listening, why is she a slightly larger ship? Because actually, the shipbuilders determined we'd need 60 feet, 19 meters approximately of more length, because we've shifted to LNG power.
Oh, so that's your power.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, so we get this extra length. So of course, how do you use extra length? You could actually maximize it. We chose not to. We chose to optimize that space. So what do I actually mean by that? I mean, we have really exactly the same suite count and guest count, but we've remixed the suites. We have more ocean residences, more ocean penthouses. We actually have a second owner's residence, so 2. The second one being on deck 7 and designed by a very famous Spanish interior designer and architect, Patricia Urquiola.
I've heard of her name.
And I will actually attribute why we have 2 owners' residences to a travel advisor, because in year 1, that was feedback we received. So we have the art of listening always. And all the changes we've made is actually because of the art of listening, either from guests or from travel advisors. Other things that we've changed, of course, with that extra length, we've added a 7th restaurant called the Shore Club on deck 11.
Okay, that's something for me to try out.
There you go. And it's actually open through lunchtime through to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which I think many guests will actually love. Mediterranean-inspired cuisine. Okay. We've actually added a wine bar with the largest collection of connoisseur wines on the ocean. So spectacular. We've actually moved the workout in partnership with Techno Gym from deck 10 to deck 5. Why? It's adjacent actually to the Ocean Wellness Spa.
Which makes sense.
Which makes a lot of sense. We've added a Pilates room. So really trying to deliver that wellness experience which drives that sense of renewal, slowing down, the gift of time, which is a luxury in today's world as well, yes. So a larger lobby. We've changed the sort of design of the lobby, but if you were blindfolded and went on the ship, didn't know where you were, but you'd sailed on 1 and 2 and you took that blindfold off, I guarantee everybody would immediately say, this is Explora Journeys.
Spectacular public spaces, and we were all over the place. And of course, you have amazing restaurants, and you said you're adding the restaurant, but you're not taking away from all of the other restaurants.
Correct, that is so true. All of those restaurants that people have fallen in love with, whether it's Fil Rouge, the French-inspired restaurant, whether it's Med Yacht Club, which is of course a fusion of Mediterranean cuisines, whether it's Marble & Co., our European steakhouse, Sakura, the Pan-Asian restaurant.
Yeah, that's a marvelous restaurant.
Of course, Anthology, which is our Italian tasting menu.
That'll be new for me because it wasn't that back then.
It wasn't, no, and actually people are loving, of course, the Italian tasting menu in Anthology, or, of course, the Emporium Marketplace, which, if anybody says a buffet, we'll ban you. It is actually...
Buffet is a dirty word, right?
It is, because it is actually far from being a buffet. 18 culinary stations that people love, of course, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Maybe you'd even go up there and have some oysters on the half shell and a glass of champagne before dinner, somewhere else on the ship. But, because we've anchored with these restaurants which have become loved by our guests across all 3 ships, ships now, you get that, you know, familiarity that people obviously love.
No, it's great, and I love the ship of further. And plus, with the now 3 ships, you can go a lot more places, right?
That's correct. You can go a lot more places. We are now sailing with Explorer 3 to Northern Europe. We're going to offer 5 journeys in Northern Europe, and then actually Iceland and Greenland and the Canadian Maritimes. So if anybody's looking for close to home, and we are seeing, James, an awful lot of close-in travel, so our travel advisors can suggest the Canadian Maritimes, close to home travel, Quebec to New York, for example. We're then going to sail down the eastern seaboard to position Explorer 3 in the Caribbean for this winter, together with her sister Explorer 1. And I don't want anybody to think that, of course, Explorer 3 is better than Explorer 1 and 2. It's just an evolution.
It's an evolution, and also the different power source,
Yes.
which is obviously going
Very
for a much
important.
more sustainable power
Correct.
source. And you said all along you were going to do this. So
Yes, we
the
did.
future ships are going to be LNG,
We did.
right?
That's very true. And, you know, we've kept true, and I'm looking at our travel partners here, we've kept true to the story we told you literally 4 years ago when we launched the brand. We're at the midpoint of our journey, James. 3 ships actually now operating and 3 ships under construction. So we will deliver a fleet of 6 beautifully elegant luxury ships that actually are more akin to a European boutique hotel whose home is the ocean.
You don't even
no
like to
fixed
use the
address.
word cruise anymore. Yeah.
Well, I tell you the reason why we don't like to use the word cruise that often. Of course we're a cruise ship. Of course we're in the cruise industry. It's because there's so many people, there's so many advisors that have not booked a cruise for their clients. The client hasn't sailed, hasn't discovered how fantastic an ocean experience can be. We see that as a massive opportunity. But we just didn't say, well, there's an opportunity. We thoughtfully taking the family's vision, their dream, to curate an experience that was inspired by
the Aponte family, which is
this is our family ownership. You know, we're a European family-owned brand, headquartered in Switzerland, so we have the gold thread of Swiss luxury running through the brand. Of course, you know, we're independent, we're very financially strong. These are all reasons that the travel advisors should be thinking and booking ourselves as well and telling their clients these points, family, you know, Swiss, etc. So really we've created a very differentiated, unique experience. We've really created a category of one.
Yeah.
And I will say there can be several categories of one. I mean, if you're in a, you know, you're creating your own category, but we have done something that no brand has done. We curated a guest experience driven through design. You mentioned that beautiful lobby. I mean, most people step on our ships, James, and say, wow.
No, it's
you're
this
right,
extraordinary lobby. It was an amazing place, and we did some. Yeah, and of course, you as many years ago, you're now a cruise, I won't say cruise, but you're a ship guy. Yeah. You were a hotel person. You were really known for hotels. And now we have the influx of all these new hotel brands coming in, but you're taking a ship and turning it into a hotel or a boutique hotel. Yes. They're coming from, you know, luxury hotels and turning them into vessels. So
and I think that these entrants, you know, of the other hotel brands coming into the ocean space is excellent. Right. They will obviously attract guests, and those guests will then obviously look at what other options are available. But we have curated and designed thoughtfully a guest experience, a ship design that really does feel like that unique, ultra luxury, ultra elegant hotel. Yeah. And you and I, James, we're dressed ready for dinner. We don't have formal nights. We're not stuffy. We're a country clever atmosphere on board our ships. Okay. And yeah, our guests, as I say, 84 MPS. So our guests are really rating us very, very high.
Well, in the very first cruise that you and I were on, the food is amazing. Everyone's discovered the food. I can't know of a better, they're ships that have excellent food, no question about it, but Explora has a wonderful restaurants and wonderful food, and we discovered that for ourselves on the very first cruise.
We did indeed, and actually, you know, we were so proud. Early this year, only been operating 2.5 years, we actually were awarded by Food and Wine magazine in their Global Tastemakers Awards, #1 culinary on the ocean. So it's not just us saying to you, we serve and deliver the best culinary. It is now third-party testimonials through Food and Wine magazine. And actually, we set the bar very high because we set the bar to rival any restaurant on land, not just at sea.
Absolutely. Well, anything else you want to tell our travel advisors out there today about the new Explora 3 and anything else about the company?
I will actually say, I was talking about those close to home itineraries, so of course we're seeing a lot of close-in bookings. We do have availability, and you may not know, but we are sailing in the Mediterranean this winter. So our serene Mediterranean, cooler temperatures, slower days, let's say, which is wonderful, lines that aren't so long. The time, the gift of being in those destinations, we think it is for travelers, not for tourists. And I think that sums it all up. Why not be sitting in a pavement cafe in Cannes on New Year's Eve prior to the fireworks, yes?
I can't think of why not. I go to Cannes every December anyway as we saw, one of the last interviews we did was at International Luxury Travel Market.
And we may not be wearing our bathing trunks, but I can tell you we may be sitting under sunny skies, with a sweater, but enjoying that slower pace, those less crowds, and still in a beautiful destination. Nothing better.
Well, Chris, as always, great to see you at Virtuoso. I'm sure I'll see you in the next. Well, you're not going to be aboard with me in my cruise in November.
You never know. I may be there to welcome you.
Yeah, there you go. You got to come aboard because we can't do this cruise without each other. This is great. We were the first ones on that. So anyway, thank you so much for taking the time here at Virtuoso. I know it's always a busy time.
It's always busy, and for our travel advisor partners, we couldn't be here today without your support. I ask you to keep that support coming, keep committed, present our brand to all those travelers, your clients that have never thought of cruising, and of course to those very loyal lovers of the ocean, those loyal cruisers. Present them Explora Journeys. We'll turn your client into a loyal guest for life.
Fantastic. I'm James Shillinglaw here at Virtuoso Travel Week, and this is Insider Travel Report.